Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital YouTube channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribers button and give this video a thumbs up. Georgie proudly posed in the kitchen with her gingerbread house while Felicia snapped a photo, but Maxie appeared to be a million miles away. When Felicia suggested a video conference with Maxie snapped out of it, and Georgie decided to change first because she had frosting on her shirt. Maxie urged her daughter to check on Bailey without disturbing the infant. Maxie stated that she couldn't get into the holiday spirit when Georgie left because her life had altered so quickly. Maxie reminded her mother that the previous Christmas, despite the fact that she had terminated things with Austin, she had been riding high on Deception's success. Felicia told Maxie that things will improve shortly. The doorbell rang just then. Maxie was taken aback when she discovered a soaked Spinelli on her doorstep, clutching a bag of Christmas goodies. A few moments later, a newly bathed Spinelli returned to the living room and thanked Felicia for supplying him with spare clothes from a box of Mac's old clothes, placed aside for the shelter. Spinelli claimed that a pipe burst in his apartment, flooding it, but he was able to salvage his computer equipment. Maxie offered him her guest room without hesitation, but Spinelli was hesitant to accept unless he could pay his own way. Maxie declined to accept money from Spinelli, but he was adamant. Georgie entered the living room a few moments later, delighted to see her father. She admitted that she wished her father to spend the night so that he could be present when she opened her Christmas presents in the morning. Spinelli stated that he would be staying for more than one night, much to Georgie's joy, but he and Maxie had to decide whether he would be a guest or a tenant. Maxie agreed to accept Spinelli's rent offer after being persuaded by Felicia and Georgie. Spinelli smiled triumphantly as Maxie and Georgie went to prepare the guest room. "I think she bought it, don't you?" he inquired. Felicia concurred. Felicia was glad that they had established a plan to assist Maxie financially without having her feel like she was accepting charity. Georgie insisted that this would be the finest Christmas ever when Maxie and Georgie returned to the living room. Aiden was baking in the kitchen at Elizabeth's house when Finn and Violet arrived. Violet was not in the Christmas spirit, and Elizabeth quickly noticed that something was bothering her. Violet remained somber and asked if she could color as Elizabeth tried to bring her out of her funk. Finn mentioned that Violet had been quiet all day and that he had been unable to persuade her to open up. Elizabeth suggested that he give Violet some space. Jake sat down with Violet a short time later and opened up a talk with her about Santa. Violet remained depressed, causing Jake to suggest that she talk about what was bothering her. "My daddy is leaving," Violet explained. Jake pushed Violet to talk to Finn, so she told her father that she'd overheard his conversation with Chase regarding Finn's court case the night before. Violet was clearly concerned that her father might be arrested. Finn promised his daughter that there was no way. He gently explained that he was being investigated at work, but he assured her that everything would be fine. Violet hugged her father, relieved. Aiden asked Elizabeth in the kitchen whether she was disappointed that Can had gone skiing with his new girlfriend instead of spending Christmas with the family. Elizabeth admitted that it hadn't been easy, but she wasn't surprised by Can's decision because Can seemed to enjoy the girl a lot. Aiden agreed that it would have been good to see his brother, which piqued her interest. Elizabeth changed the subject and asked Aiden whether he felt left out because both of his brothers had girlfriends. "There's someone I like too," Aiden admitted. With Elizabeth's support, Aiden confided in her about his crush, a lad called Tobias. Aiden mentioned that he and Tobias enjoyed discussing baking science. Elizabeth smiled and inquired about Tobias, who had built a wind turbine for the scientific fair. Aiden's face lighted up as he confirmed that Tobias had done so since Tobias was interested in renewable energy and the environment. Tobias deserved first place for his project, Elizabeth said. Aiden nodded and hugged his mother. Aiden thanked Elizabeth later. Elizabeth thanked Aiden for having faith in her enough to inform her about Tobias. "Love you," she said. Aiden informed his mother he loved her as well. Curtis used the chance at Curtis and Portia's house to tell his family about the experimental procedure that could restore his ability to walk. Curtis was overjoyed for Trina, Stella, and Marshall, but he revealed that he wouldn't hear if he'd been accepted until January. Portia went to answer the door when it rang. Her smile, however, froze as she noticed Spencer. Trina raced into his arms and hugged him after Portia hesitantly welcomed him inside. Spencer placed his gifts under the tree and informed Curtis and Portia about a damaged light stand outside. Trina disclosed that she had handcrafted some of the ornaments on the Christmas tree when he appreciated it. Marshall suggested that Spencer and Trina listen to some Christmas music because Portia's stress was palpable. After they had gone away, Portia inquired whether Curtis had anticipated Spencer's visit. Curtis speculated that Trina had forgotten to notify them. He recognized Portia's right to express herself, but he wondered if she wanted to begin the new year at odds with the young man their daughter adored. Meanwhile, Marshall went outside for some fresh air. Stella quickly joined him, concerned that he was standing outside in the cold. Marshall laughed because she sounded identical to her sister. He admitted to feeling a little overwhelmed because the previous Christmas he had been lucky to spend with his son and grandson, and this year he got to experience it all over again with a brand new granddaughter. He acknowledged that he felt unworthy of it because of how he had abandoned his family. Marshall told Stella about his talk with Irene after she persuaded him to let it go because it was in the past. To his surprise, she stated that she constantly talked to her sister and felt Irene's presence about her as much as she did when Irene was alive. Marshall expressed gratitude to Stella for everything she had done for his sons and for always having his back. Stella reminded him that he had supported her when she hadn't told Curtis that Trina might be his daughter. Marshall grinned as he mentioned how he and Stella were always there for each other. Stella was saddened to learn that Marshall had lost two ladies he adored, Irene and Epiphany. Marshall admitted that Stella had abandoned the man she had planned to marry in order to care for Curtis and Thomas, but she assured him that she had done so out of love for her sister and nephews. Marshall and Stella began to dance when they heard Stella's favorite Christmas music playing, but their comfortable friendship abruptly changed to something more. Stella drew away from the embrace after a little moment. Marshall apologized instantly, but she dismissed it as being caught up in the music and hastily excused herself by claiming she had left the oven on. Curtis and Portia were working on the damaged strand of lights outside the front door, while Portia moaned about Spencer. Spencer appeared moments later and offered his assistance. Curtis thanked Spencer for the offer after Portia yelled that they were good. Spencer began monitoring the lights while telling Curtis and Portia that he hoped they would get to know one another better. Portia stated that all she and Curtis wanted was for Trina to be happy. Spencer argued that he wanted to make Trina happy because he loved her, but Portia questioned Spencer's knowledge of love. She promptly apologized, but Spencer said that he wouldn't have known the answer until he met Trina. Spencer said that he had a long way to go before proving himself to Curtis and Portia, but he swore to do it since he loved Trina more than anybody else in his life. Spencer added that Trina inspired him to be a better person, and he intended to gain the forgiveness, respect, and trust of Curtis and Portia. The strand of lights suddenly lit up. "Let there be light," urged Spencer. Curtis wondered if anything Spencer said had moved Portia after Spencer went back inside. Spencer joined Trina on the sofa inside, admitting that Portia had been difficult with him. "She'll come around," Trina promised. Spencer was suspicious, but Trina admired him for his efforts. Spencer gifted Trina a set of magnificent diamond earrings for Christmas. Curtis and Portia then entered the residence. Portia inquired whether everyone was prepared for their family tradition. Trina stated that they crafted a new ornament for the Christmas tree every year. Spencer planned to go, but Portia urged him to stay because he would be in control of the glue gun. Spencer grinned and sat down with the family. Dex and Jocelyn planned to spend Christmas Eve at Carly's house, but their plans were interrupted when Jocelyn met Adam in the hallway. When she queried why he wasn't on the early flight home to his family, Adam said that he had opted to forego the trip. Jocelyn was concerned because the dorms were vacant and the dining hall was closed, But Adam assured her that he didn't mind the quiet and would order takeaway. Jocelyn wasn't satisfied, and she kept questioning him until he snapped and said he couldn't go home. Adam stated that his parents would grill him about his grades and forthcoming classes, so he made up an excuse to avoid returning home. Jocelyn noted that Adam's lying had become a habit, but Adam stated that he had panicked because he didn't want to disappoint his parents with his grades. Jocelyn claimed that Adam's grades were excellent, but he knew his parents would disagree. "Trust me, it's better this way," Adam assured them. Dex appeared uneasy after Adam left. What was that all about, he wondered. Jocelyn did not want Adam to be alone on Christmas Eve, so she texted her mother. Adam returned to Jocelyn's dorm room a short while later. He had been invited to spend Christmas Eve with her family, she explained. "The more the merrier," Dex declared. Adam smiled and said he'd grab his coat and meet them outside. Valentin knocked on Anna's door at Metro Court. He stated that he'd been shocked to get her call after she invited him inside. He did, however, request that she hurry because he was missing Christmas Eve with Charlotte. When Anna inquired about Charlotte, his demeanor changed. He emphasized that Charlotte had a long journey ahead of her and that he regretted not giving Anna the truth from the beginning. "You owed me the truth, but I owe you the same," she said. Anna informed Valentine about Brennan and Forsyth's plot against her, as well as the fact that Forsyth had set fire to her house. Valentine was happy that Charlotte had not started the fire, but he regretted not telling Anna about Charlotte. "Maybe then none of this would have happened," he went on to say. Anna said that Charlotte had been a bystander in the scheme against her, but that it was now behind them. Valentin questioned whether that was correct, so Anna reminded him that Brennan was in custody and no longer a threat. She did, however, advise him and his family to keep their distance because she still had enemies. Valentin reminded her that it had never stopped him previously because he, too, had enemies and she had always supported him. Valentine and Anna were near, but Anna drew away before they kissed. Anna admitted that it was easy to be with Valentine, but she couldn't forget standing in the doorway with her gun in her hand and Charlotte on the ground. Anna emphasized that, as much as she loved Valentine, they couldn't move forward since Charlotte was in misery and needed her father. Valentine was perplexed as to how he was supposed to let Anna leave when he didn't know where he'd be without her. Anna stated that she had never felt more seen than when she was with him, and she was thankful for the time they spent together. "I've loved you my whole life," Valentine declared. He said that he didn't know how to stop, so she advised them both to accept that a part of them would always love the other. "If love were enough, then we'd probably be together, wouldn't we?" Anna remarked. What would happen? She grabbed for his hand and kissed the top of it tenderly. Valentin looked distraught as she subtly urged him that they needed to terminate things with as much decency and respect as possible. Valentin wrapped his arms around her and admitted that he'd always knew he couldn't keep her. Charlotte was astonished to find Kevin and Laura wrapping presents in the living room at Valentin's house. Laura welcomed her granddaughter and said that Valentine had requested them to come by while he went outside because Charlotte had been sleeping. Charlotte was disappointed that her father had departed on Christmas Eve, but Laura promised her that he would return soon. Charlotte hoped Laura was correct because Valentine had agreed to spend Christmas with them. "He's been away since last year," Charlotte explained. Laura and Kevin exchanged apprehensive looks, but Laura smiled at Charlotte and said she was pleased to see her grandchild. Charlotte perked up, so Kevin asked for her assistance in curling a ribbon. Charlotte gladly sat down to help wrap gifts. Kevin placed the remainder of the gifts under the tree, but Charlotte revealed that she had more in her bedroom. They decided to wrap the gifts and watch Christina Comes Home for Christmas, Lulu's favorite holiday film. Laura took out her phone and looked at images of Lulu when Kevin went into the kitchen for food and Charlotte went to her bedroom. Laura acknowledged that Charlotte was maturing and needed her mother. Laura committed to help Charlotte get through the difficult times, but she wanted Lulu could be there to assist. Meanwhile, Charlotte went to get the gifts, but a twinge of agony caused her to set the bag down. Charlotte approached her mirror and lifted her shirt to examine the scar. "My first battle wound," she proudly stated. She reached into her jewelry box and took out a necklace with a huge pendant of the Cassadine crest. Charlotte put on the necklace and walked back to the mirror to admire it. "Anything for the family," she explained. Kevin had just entered the room. Charlotte, irritated, wondered if he had ever heard of knocking. He pointed out that the door had been left open, so he had in to inquire about whether she preferred regular or peppermint hot chocolate. Charlotte requested for peppermint hot chocolate with a smile. When Kevin inquired about the necklace, Charlotte explained that it had been left to her by her grandfather and had previously belonged to her grandmother Helena. She indicated that she had considered wearing it, but that it didn't have a Christmas vibe. Kevin returned to the living room after leaving Charlotte's room and informed Laura of what he had witnessed. Laura was astounded to learn that Charlotte seemed proud of her injury. She wondered if it was a coping method or if Charlotte felt triumphant after splitting up Valentine and Anna. She couldn't understand why Charlotte would be proud to hold Helena's jewelry after what Helena had done. Kevin speculated that Charlotte was looking for a role model in the form of powerful and survivor figures. Kevin admitted that darker figures in the Cassadine family, such as Helena and Victor, were qualified. She may be using them as a way to cope with her trauma, he added. Laura, stunned, revealed that she had spent years worrying about Nicholas and attempting to save him from the darkness he had received from the Cassadines. She never imagined Charlotte would have to face the same demons. "I can't bear losing her, either," Laura remarked. She was adamant that they find a means to contact Charlotte. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and don't miss any updates.